love about horses?
They're pretty and they're fluffy.
I'm frustrated and I'm also sweating.
That's your fault.
There you are.
Here I am. Not pictured are my horse pajamas that I'm wearing, but I decided to put a different shirt on because it's only 5:40 and I thought I probably shouldn't be in my like full button-up horse pajama set.
I think you're deserving of some horse pajama time.
I after I got off the phone with you, I after I got off the phone with you, I had asked Henry to get me my pajamas because, as you know, I was in the shower and he came over with these pajamas and I go, because they have like, here, they have like white horses on them.
Jeez.
He was like, I'll get different pajamas. I'll get
Ugh.
different pajamas.
Um,
Okay. Well, sorry, I gotta get situated here.
so rough week in the
Rough
Crab
week.
Mac family horse life.
Rough week. And today we're going to be talking
Oh
about
God,
heart horses. Why'd you say, oh God?
because I just see this going badly. I just see all of us crying, but we'll try to hold it together.
I think I've gotten out pretty much like all the tears in my body. I actually am shocked by the amount of tears I have shed. I didn't think I would cry this much. But on Monday afternoon, Ellie colicked and we had to put her down. And even though she was retired and not necessarily like, you know, active in my day-to-day life, she still was the most important horse that has ever been in my life. And it was really shitty. Really sucked.
Yep. And I, meanwhile, have spent a lot of time with Ellie in the last couple of years, hanging out, pushing her out of my way. It's pretty weird to be
Yeah.
up there without her.
Yeah. I not that today we're just going to be talking about Ellie dying because that is not really fun nor beneficial for any of us. But I do, like I said, I want to talk about heart horses and what made her so special. And I mean, pretty much that's it. Why she was so special and how hard it can be to make decisions about these horses that we love so much. So, I guess I don't want to start by talking about her dying because I don't
Okay,
want to talk about it.
let's talk about how she came to be a part of our lives. I remember the first time I saw her. I think I saw her before you did. I was sitting on the bleachers at Hunter Creek in Portland with Kendall. Kendall was sitting next to me. I don't even know if you know this story.
I don't
And
think so.
one of the gals at your barn was riding her on a lease. They were evaluating her for a possible purchase. And she cantered across the arena between fences. And Kendall said, I don't know what I feel about this horse. I mean, she's pretty nice moving across the ground. And I don't know why, but I just remember that. I remember seeing her going across.
Yeah, so she was brought into our barn, my junior barn, as a sales horse, and at the time I pretty much just rode like sales horses or different horses on and off, leased them here and there. And so that sale didn't end up happening. So I ended up riding her and taking her to a show and absolutely fell in love with her. But as we have established on this podcast, I don't remember things that well.
So you don't remember what happened.
The details for me, it's like I know that you're gonna remember the logistics of it more, I guess.
Well, also because we
We
did
did
buy her
the
for you as
logistics.
a birthday present, so
Well,
you
right, right.
theoretically didn't know about it. So
Yeah.
so Ellie had lovely gaits. She was a lovely mover, and me, the dressage rider, I watched you riding on her, and I was standing next to your trainer who was trying to sell the horse at the time. And I said, you know, there's not very many horses that I would like to own, and that one I would like to own. So that's how it all started. And then she was way out of our price range, or what certainly anyone thought we were going to pay for a horse. And then your dad came to that show. It was Bend. Was it Bend? And I said, I want you to see this horse that Katie's riding. And he saw her, and he actually is the one who decided it needed to happen. So
Yeah, I
your
think
trainer
also
approached us. Yeah.
she wasn't she was like a little bit of a spitfire. She had a big
Yeah.
personality, Ellie did, and
Yes.
she wasn't the most straightforward, but her and I just like absolutely clicked right off the bat. I mean, like most horses, I fall in love with every horse that I am involved with, but she was definitely special. And yeah, you and Dad surprised me for my 15th birthday.
We didn't actually surprise you because you're impossible to surprise. So you had to fake being surprised. Do you remember that part?
I had a, okay, yes, but I had like a hopeful inkling because I wanted it to be true. But you know, when you want something to be true so badly that you don't know if it's 100% gonna be, like, you don't want to like get your hopes up. There was still a part of me that was like, I don't want to have my hopes up.
Because one of the juniors at the barn was there when we did the pre-purchase, and she said to you, why was your mom doing a pre-purchase on Ellie? Because I didn't do pre-purchases at that barn.
Yeah. What an
So that was
idiot
kind of a
in hindsight.
giveaway. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but I do want to talk. So with heart horses, Mom, I'm curious. What do you think a heart horse is? What is a heart horse to you? Like, what makes a horse a heart horse?
And there are just certain horses that come into your life at certain times, or come with certain things that you need at the time that they come into your life, I think. I mean, I would say in my life, I've had 4 horses that I would consider heart horses, and they're probably going to surprise you which ones they are. Well, one of them you didn't know. One of them was Snuff. And when I used to go to the barn to see him, I would literally like, I was like Jamie with the pony. I would like shake and cry because I loved him so much. And he was just a great horse. And I rode him for a really long time and did all kinds of things with him. And I don't know why. Well, that was also the last time. Okay, I currently now own 1 horse. The last time that I owned 1 horse was in the 80s. Dad and I figured that out yesterday. Super weird, right?
It's a little too
So the
soon for
one,
me to be excited for you.
yeah, the horse that you won't think for me was a hard horse was
I know it's
Falco.
Falco. You told me. We
Yeah,
talked about this.
yeah, yeah. Well, why?
Because he was what you needed at that time.
Yeah, he mended me when I was broken. even I didn't even have him for that long.
Mm.
And I mean, it also seems weird that I would have sold him, but I did that as much for him as I did for me because I knew he was going to a place that would be better. I don't know. What do you think makes a horse be a heart horse? Or
Oh,
did
I
we already
agree.
do that?
No, I agree with everything you said, but I think it's not just about what they do for you. I think there's a part of it that's like what you do for them.
That's fair.
Like I think that as much as like I chose Ellie in a lot of ways, like she also did choose me. Like 100%. I feel that way 100%.
That's how I
And
am with
she
Gallant.
well, and she showed that like in every way. Like what I never one time fell off her. Not once.
Wow.
Yeah, never fell off. She like was honest to a fault where she would have done anything to get me out of any situation, to save me from anything. Like she made me confident, you know, which I think is like you said, like it's what you need in that time. Like if I hadn't had her, I wouldn't be like I for sure wouldn't be riding professionally. There's no way. Like I wouldn't have yeah, I just can't even think about it. Even just getting through like high school. Like I remember there were times in high school where like when things wouldn't be good in like social dynamics or like I'd have like be fighting with a boyfriend or like something like that, I would be like out at the barn and I would like consciously have the thought like, but I'll always have Ellie. Which sounds like stupid to say, but it was like true to me then, you know, like a partner.
Here we go. Ugh.
I mean, also that horse, like she, we started in the meter jumpers. We did junior hunters. She qualified me for medal finals. I rode her at Maclay Regionals. She jumped me around my first Grand Prix, my first meter 40, took me to Spruce Meadows, got me into college. Like the range of that girl is so impressive. Like that's just not like horses like that, they just don't like exist, really,
Well,
you
also
know?
at the same time, it wasn't like she was the easiest thing in the world. I mean, you couldn't freaking fly spray her.
No, no, exactly. And that's what I mean by like it's not just about like you choosing them, but them choosing you. Like she wanted to do those things for me, you know? And she was like, yeah, lots of rehabbing.
Lots of rehabbing. I hand walk. Yeah. Let me talk about the things that I did with Ellie. Let's see. What did I do with Ellie? I walked her around my barn hundreds of times. I cleaned her stall. I, I dumped and scrubbed her water buckets because, she couldn't eat a meal without putting all of it into her water bucket. And then she
Oh,
wouldn't drink the water that was in
because it
there
was dirty.
because it was dirty. So then I probably dumped her buckets like 3 times a day for the last year.
Oh my
Ugh.
gosh. And she was the biggest green pig. And growing up, I never had grooming besides you. And I would go out when the junior hunters would be at like, 8 a.m. to go and like take her for a lunge and give her a bath. And it would be like before I could drive, you'd have to drive me out there at like 4 a.m.
I
And she would be
remember.
so dirty. She'd be green from head to toe.
And everyone wondered why I didn't just pay for grooming and braiding.
Because you were suffering probably more than I was.
Probably was. Yeah. Yeah, but I thought it was important that you should do it. So call me crazy. Oh dear. Well, I will say this. She chose to go out in the kind of terrible but best way possible that it happened. So that's the biggest favor that a horse can do for you. I've been worried about Ellie, as you know, because she's starting to get a little bit neurologic. She was starting to, I've just been worried about her. And to have her be fine, I drove out the driveway. She was fine. I always look at the horses when I go out. It hit and went from 0 to 1,000 in like less than an hour. I think it was a torsion. So
I think too,
they,
just to talk about that, because it hit really fast, but there was no question of whether it would resolve on its own. Like, I want to preface that because I don't want anybody to think that we like
oh
didn't give
yeah,
it
no,
time to like
no.
there were plenty of veterinarians involved, and there was like they rectaled her and they could tell like what the situation was. It was very clear. And even if we had wanted to take her to surgery, like from what I saw, that she wouldn't, I don't think she would have even, I don't even know if you would have been able to get her in the trailer.
Well, also the recovery for her would have been really rough with some of her other issues. I have no question that that was the compassionate choice for her. If we were to have tried any longer or done any more than what we did, it would have been for us, and it would not have been the right thing for her. It's just so it's when they happen that way, it's hard because it's so shocking. You're not expecting it, but it's also a big blessing when it's that clear, fast and clear, and there's no question about the right decision. Interestingly, my major heart horse, Darwin, did exactly the same thing. He lived until he died. He was living his best life out on the pasture with his friends, and we found him in the morning and it was over within, it was so fast and so terrible and so unexpected, but they did us a favor.
I think that's like one of what was hard. I mean, it's all hard, but you see her every day, so like you see a decline, where for me, like I see her every time I'm home. I haven't been home in a while, but like she is still like she lives in my brain as like she did when I saw her every day forever. So it's like it's a different version of the horse that like lives in my brain, which is just a hard thing to kind of wrap your head around, I think. Like for people, I think people do send their horses out to retire and they're not all as lucky to have them like at home. And I think that that's something that's really hard is not being able to see them as much as you want, or like I feel like a little bit of guilt. I wasn't
Oh,
as involved in like the end of her life, which I think people, at least from the people I've talked to in the past couple days, they can relate to that. But I mean, I do feel really proud of like the life that she had with us. And like, I 100% feel like we took great care of her and all of that. But it's hard not to, like, this is not necessarily a positive thing to talk about, but I do think it's interesting. Like, while she was colicking, I asked you to send me videos of her so that I could see, what she was doing. And this might not, I mean, it might not be true for everybody, but like for me, I really needed to just like see how bad it was in order to like feel okay with the decision and like be on the same page as you guys, because it can be hard, like in those situations to make those calls.
well, it's also honestly, it was interesting it was me and Dr. Manetta, who I've literally known since I was 12, not
Since
since
she was 12.
she was 12, grown up in the practice, did preceptorships with us, came back to work for us, and then ended up buying the practice. I mean, and she's amazing. And she said, I know her really well, and she was with Val, our technician, who also, or our assistant, who worked for me for 20 years, I think. And they both, I saw them shift. At one point, Ellie was being a little like unclear, and then I saw them both shift. And I know how that feels when you're the veterinarian. They knew 100% where we were headed and what needed to happen. They were great. And Lindsay looked at me, Dr. Minetta looked at me, and she said, if it were anybody but you right now, I would be saying, you got to take her to OSU now, or we got to make a decision. She was very, very clear. And I said to her, I have to get Katie on board. So can I go back to something though? The guilt thing. Guilt.
Mhm.
So that's such a weird, it's interesting that you mentioned that. And Dad's been giving me a hard time. Val actually also gave me a hard time about this. I felt guilty that I hadn't done enough I hadn't taken good enough care of. I mean, you know where she lives. She's got like a 12 by 18 foot stall with a giant paddock, and I mean, right. And I found myself, I was feeling guilty because I hadn't brushed her in the last week. I mean, I groom her occasionally, and I brush out her tail, and I keep her unsnarled, and we do her feet, and we do all the things. And she, but I was like, said to Dad, I'm like, I feel guilty. I feel bad. I feel like I didn't do enough with her, do enough for her. I think it's common for people to feel that way. And he was like, you're being ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it is hard to not, like, I feel bad, like whenever I do come home, like I don't really get to come home for very many days at a time. And like, of course I always go and I always see her, I always brush her, but like, it's not like I do a lot of stuff when I have the opportunity to come home. It's not like I just like sit up there with her. And I think it's hard. Like I went from spending like almost all day every day with her to then like only seeing her every once in a while. And it's hard. And I think this relates sometimes to people too, but it's hard not to like feel guilty that I didn't like spend more time with her, or like I worry that she like, because I was so her person, and like when she does see me, like she'll nicker at me and she like comes up to me and stuff, like she knows that I'm her person. So I'm like, does she think I just like never came to see her? Like that just like makes me so sad. Which I had thought about before she died. Like that's not like a new feeling, but I honestly just thought that like I really didn't think that the last time I saw her was the last time I saw her. And that's like another thing that's really hard with like horses, with dogs and stuff. There's a lot of ways to keep animals stable, like to
Yeah.
come and say goodbye. And that's something that's really hard, like being far away. Like I had my best friend who's not a horse person. I like called her and she was like, well, can't you fly up there? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Like, I can't. And so that makes me like really, really sad just to think that like I wasn't there with her. Like I just worry she thinks I like abandoned her, which I know is like a human emotion that I'm placing onto an animal that they don't really like possess. But it's hard not to think about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it always makes me, I mean, I had a really good friend who passed away that I felt that I didn't spend enough time with her, like didn't make the effort to see her. And it, I don't know, it makes you think about not taking people or animals for granted, you know?
Yeah. I think that's something else that like haunts me with her a little bit. And just like like I guess a message to people in general, like at the time that I had her and I was getting to do like those are obviously like the classes I did on her are the biggest classes I've ever done and at the time I kind of thought like this is just the beginning for me, you know? But in a lot of ways like at least for a while it was really just like the ending, which is hard, you know, like I I didn't realize like how I knew I was lucky, but I didn't realize how rare it was to really like, especially when you don't have endless pockets to like have a horse that can do that stuff and like will do that stuff for you. You know, like I thought like, oh, I'm gonna stay jumping the Grand Prix now. Like I did it, now I'm here and I'm gonna get to keep doing it, and it's just like not the truth. And I just feel like I didn't like appreciate what she was, and it wasn't because I was unappreciative, but it was because I didn't know. Like I was still so like young in the sport and like young enough in it that I just didn't like realize how hard it is to find the right partnerships and how expensive it is, and like it was being paid for me. Like I just didn't realize at the time. Like I don't know if I'll get to go jump another Grand Prix again. Like I hope I will, but I don't know. And I think that that's something that is also really hard with like losing like animals like that is just the nostalgia of like the memories of it, and that's what for me is really hard. Like I think I reflect a lot on like what her and I got to do, and there's like a lot of pride that I have in that. And now that she's gone, it's like I mean, right now it's like painful to think about it. I feel like it's so dramatic. Like I'm talking about like a person or something. Like I feel so stupidly dramatic, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I go back to Darwin, who was kind of my heart horse, and honestly, the same. Darwin was such a good horse. And at the time, I thought the same. Like, yeah, I mean, he's long, he's sometimes downhill, he's not going to be able to pee off or whatever. But he did FEI and he could do tempi changes, and I competed him all over the place and had so much fun with him, and I was so safe on him. And you just think, well, when that one, you'll have another one, but sometimes you never have another one. I've never had another one like that. And now I look back on him and I'm like, oh man, I should have really appreciated him more. Not that I mean I did, the same. Like I
Yeah,
loved
it's
him
different.
and
Like you
he
love
had a
them and you
great life.
appreciate them. Yeah, but I think sometimes you don't realize like when you have that kind of thing. Like,
You're never gonna have another one.
yeah, and I think that I'm scared of that. Like that's a fear for me. Like, am I ever gonna have a that kind of thing again? And I do think that there are like about heart horses, like I do think you can have multiple for different reasons, you know? So I hope like I have another horse in my life, but another thing that like I struggle with a little bit as someone who like growing up I rode a lot of sales horses. I like did a lot of like there were a lot of situations where I was riding a horse and it was taken away for various reasons, whether the horse sold or it was like a short-term situation, just a lot of those things. And then as a young professional and as an assistant, I'm like riding other people's horses all the time, and they're sales horses, and it's like I like she's the only horse that's ever been like mine, you know?
There was Carter.
Carter, my pony. Yeah, for sure.
He was also a heart horse. He
Yeah,
was
in a different way. But like
when you were younger.
I was so much younger and like I didn't have him like for me personally for as long like it was just different. Like I wasn't as emotionally like he was like my pony, but I was a lot younger, I guess. But yeah, I just I don't remember what I was saying.
I don't know.
What was I talking about? Oh, oh. And I do think that that is something that is hard as someone who, like, I do think there are other people who can relate to this with like not having your own. And I don't know if other professionals ever feel that way. I mean, I think that when you're a more established professional, like you do get your own horses or like you have horses that people own for you and stuff. But I think that for me and like where I am in this sport right now, that's a really hard thing for me because I am so animal centered, like, and I will say, I think Ellie probably is the reason why every single day I will choose the horses over the sport. And like that became really clear to me with Ellie. Like in that, I was like, I would choose her over competing over the sport every single day. And I think that that's one of my strong suits in this world. But it's hard when you don't have your own, I guess. I don't
But
really know if
also,
any of that makes sense.
yeah, I mean, I think being a professional, you have to separate yourself a little bit. That's one of the beauties of being an amateur.
Well, if
You
I
could
could
have a
afford it,
horse.
if I could afford it, if I could
We could
afford to
probably
if
probably
I
could
could
afford it
afford
better.
if I could afford to ride and be an amateur, I would love that. Very much so. But the the type of horses that I get to ride versus what I could afford and where I get to live, makes that a little bit challenging. But yeah, I do think that that is like really true. I think I I don't think I could ever have my own like not that I want that, but I don't know if I could ever have my own business, like horse business, because I couldn't do the sales and the turnover. Like it's like it is I just am it's too hard on my heart. Like I cry every time a horse leaves. Every time. I cried when one of our horses went out on trial. Wasn't even sold. It just went for a trial. And I was like, so
Oh boy. All right. Well, probably enough sadness for one day.
yeah.
Barn feels a little empty. Gallant is bedded up to his elbows. I brushed him, fly sprayed him, dumped his water buckets like 3 times today.
Does he seem sad?
He
Or
was a little sad. I think he's fine. I'll have to think about the single horse thing.
you could get him a mini donkey.
I asked Dad if I could get him a goat. He said no. He said no more animals. The difference between Gallant and Ellie, though, is Gallant would be easy to put like have at a retirement facility that wasn't at home if I didn't want to be tied to the barn for the rest of my life. Ellie would not have done well.
Ellie and I are the only two people that could have been her handlers. Or you and I.
I
Truly, the
mean,
only two people she liked. Or you.
but she not that somebody couldn't handle her, but I wouldn't like how they had to. Gallant is super easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gallant does come galloping up to me. So he goes out in the pasture every morning while I'm doing his stall, and he's out in the big field. And then when I let him in, so I don't give him his breakfast until he comes in because he goes out and grazes for like an hour and a half, and then I bring him in and he has his breakfast. He comes galloping across the field, whinnying when he sees me to come
That's
in.
really cute.
He's really cute. He's like the cutest pet in the whole wide world.
He is a total pet. I want a
Yep.
pet horse. I want a pet horse. that can jump and take care of me over a 1.45 course.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, bleh.
Yeah.
Thank
Rough week.
you for everything you did taking care of her, though, and not
I
selling
didn't.
her when I
Yeah.
aged out and keeping her and all of her pain in the buttness.
I just wish I'd brushed her more. That's kind of stupid. I did brush her. I really did.
I think you did good. I think that no matter what, when you lose like a person in your life, you lose a pet in your life, you have those feelings. Like I wish I'd
Like,
blank more. I think it's
yeah.
just normal.
Yeah, I also think it's a good reminder to try to blank, try to do whatever the things are. Now I got a dog licking my ankles.
I have a dog trying to get into the trash.
Oh boy. Hmm.
Okay, well, I want to hear about people's heart horses. I want to see pictures of them.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So, yeah. So if you are a listener and you have a heart horse, send us a picture, send us whatever you want, a story, something about them,
Oh, you
and
know what?
I'll add it to our website under the episodes.
I also want to do a if people would tell us about their heart horses, we could talk about them. We could tell the horses stories. Please tell us your heart horse stories. We could have a whole podcast on heart horses too.
Me sitting here crying, and
Yeah.
Mom only gets emotional when thinking about other people's heart horses. I've been crying for the past 30 minutes. She's going to start crying about the idea of other people's heart horses. Okay, well, I'm going to go put on my white pony pajamas and maybe get some wine and go to bed
Okay.
because Henry's out of town.
I'm gonna listen to the rest of my class and then go have dinner.
Okay, love you.
So, well, love you too. Talk to you tomorrow.
Boy.
Bye.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you too. Bye.